And welcome back to the Leeds lobby. Obviously, it's been some time since we posted. Work commitments, school commitments, and what have you have left us a little bit shy of time. And obviously, we're approaching the new season. We're on our way up to see Leeds Cardiff, which is a start of a championship season. It's not where we wanted to be, but I thought we'd have a bit of a chat and look at where we're at with the transfers and what predictions are going to be for this season.
Season predictions, score predictions for today. So, Dad, what do you think the score's going to be today?
Well, I mean, bearing in mind Cardiff finished just above the relegation zone last season, and we are a newly relegated side. And although we've lost some players, I think we should have enough to beat Cardiff quite convincingly. I'm expecting perhaps just to win 2-0.
Okay, I think so. If we do the predictions for this game, and then we do the season predictions as well after that, I think the score's going to be 2-1 Cardiff. I'm not optimistic, I'm not getting my hopes up, and I think it's going to be a last minute winner. I think Cardiff did struggle last season, but I think they've made the changes they need. I think they're going to be a good team this season, possibly. I don't think they're going to be challenging for the top spots, but I think they'll probably be able to hold down a mid-table spot, and I think that it's going to be 2-1 Cardiff, unfortunately. This is what I think. What are we saying about the lineups?
The thing is, I mean, I think this is not something that hasn't been said, but I think it's well documented that many Leeds fans are of the opinion we do need a left back and we do need a striker at the club. I'm absolutely astounded that we've got Matteo Joseph now injured. Bamford's obviously injured, but I'm not astounded that Bamford's injured. This guy, I'm frustrated to within an inch of my life about the fact that not only is he not fit, but when he is fit, he's not good enough.
Yeah,
the club
too easy, doesn't it?
desperately needs a Jermaine Beckford. We need somebody who can lead the line. We need a Mark Viduka. We need somebody who can lead the line, even a Leeds champion or a Brian Dean. Somebody who can score goals for us and stick the ball away. And we've not got that. So I'm kind of wondering where. We have got players like
I think I would put Sinister up front personally. That's what I would do. Even when you've got a fully fit Rutter, fully fit Bamford, I would honestly try and put Cine in that striker role if we don't sign one.
It'd be interesting to ask the questions about clubs that have won in the Championship, won the league and got automatic promotion. How many of those clubs have got automatic promotion without a 20 goal a year a season striker?
No, honestly. My sort of caveat in that would be, obviously, there isn't one really. Coventry last season did it, and they obviously had Gyökeres, but he didn't get like 20 something goals. I think he got like 17 goals, which is pretty good. But for the team that usually there's usually a striker that like breaks all the records, but last season there wasn't. So obviously, who went up last season? You had Luton, Sheffield United, and Burnley. There wasn't, out of that crop, there wasn't really like a consistent striker who was consistently scoring, and I don't know what that was. It was probably Gyökeres was the best out of the bunch, even though they didn't go up. But out of Luton, Sheffield United, and Burnley, there wasn't really an astoundingly good striker. It all was coming from the midfield and everything.
So let me just before you go any further, then let's have a look at the midfield of the three clubs that got promoted and compare the quality of that midfield to Leeds United's midfield.
Okay, so Luton, I honestly don't know loads about Luton, but I obviously know they have Marvellous Nakamba from Aston Villa, which is an absolutely brilliant name, by the way, Marvellous Nakamba. But they obviously had him on loan for Villa, and they've now got him permanently. I don't think he's going to do it in the Prem this season. I don't really think he was that good for Luton. He got overrated by a lot of the fans just because he was like a shiny new toy from the Premier League. So Luton's midfield wasn't that good. Their goals were sort of spread out a lot across the team, and they sort of got a lot of. There was never like any thrashings with Luton. It was sort of last minute winners and stuff. Sheffield United's midfield, they obviously had Ndiaye, who got his late call up to the World Cup because Sadio Mane dropped out. I wanted him at Leeds in January. I really rate him as a player. I think he's gonna go far. And then they obviously had Sander Berge, and they have players like sort of old players like Norwood and all these veterans. But Sander Berge's quality, obviously, he was heavily linked with Leeds in summer. very similar to that sort of ball winner and ball player mould, similar to Ampadu or Phillips. So he's quite a good midfielder. It does all lie in the midfield, and then it was the other team, Luton, Sheffield, and Burnley. Burnley are just on a level of their own, man. Burnley are gonna shock some people this season, like Samuel Bastian, all these like midfielders they've got, man. They are gonna be a force this season, I reckon.
So the question is with Leeds, I mean, obviously you've got to look at, I mean, let's start in the middle, for example. We've got Greenwood, who's currently injured.
Yeah.
Should be a solid player.
He's been given number 19, hasn't he? So obviously Pablo's number in the Championship and Rodrigo's number in the Prem. So they've obviously got high expectations for him.
I mean, we've watched the pre-season, and for me, Ian Poveda looks very, very interesting.
He's become a valuable asset quickly, hasn't he?
He looks a different player to what he was when he went out on loan. That's interesting because if he, I mean, I watched a passage of play when we played. We played Forest, where he played the ball over into the corner from left to right, and then within literally about 20 seconds he was on the right hand side of the pitch. He just seems to be moving about like you would see Hernandez fizzing about.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think he's a winger. Really I don't think he's an attacking midfielder. I do think he's a winger.
I think Fark seems to fancy him for an attacking midfield role.
I'll put Chaffee in attacking midfield.
We've got strength in depth when it comes to the wings. I mean, when you think about who we've got for either wing, we've got Sinisterra, Rutter, Somerville. We've got Harrison. We've got quite a lot of we've got 4 or 5 wingers who will expect to be in the first team. And you've got to question. You can't play all of those players at the same time. You've got Sinisterra and Nonto. The 2 of those don't fit in the same team. If you're going to play,
that's why I think Sinisterra is going to be up front. That's what I think.
So it's interesting because I think we do have strength in depth on the wings, but the question is, are we going to weigh in with enough goals if we've not got a proper Mitrovic style number 9?
He's got Saudi League, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Just like them all. That's what I think. The best striker for us is Chuba Akpom, and I've said that for ages, and it was linked a bit at the start of the window. It doesn't look like anything's going to materialise because Borough obviously look like they're going to be going up this season possibly, or they're going to be challenging. But I think Chuba Akpom, we've missed the boat on him. Should have gone in for him in January. Even if we didn't get a Rutter, I'd have taken him because he's absolutely quality.
So what's happening with the transfers at the minute then?
I think we're just doing them in silence, aren't we?
I think there's 1 or 2 things.
I also think we're waiting for the Cardiff game to see how that pans out, see how we start the season off.
This whole stuff you see in the newspaper where you talk about like Aston Villa is monitoring or keeping an eye on the situation with, and all that kind of stuff is just paper talk.
Yeah.
I think ultimately it's evident with the way the takeover's gone that the 49ers, keep their cards very close to the chest. They ain't like Radrizzani tweeting about the fact he's been to Lou and stuff like that. Radrizzani would tweet at the drop of a hat and way too early. I think the 49ers, speaking to some 49ers fans and hearing what's coming out of the States, they do keep their cards close to the chest.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Which means either 1 of 2 things. It either means now the Premier teams are all back for their pre-season, there's going to be movement, there's going to be money freed up because somebody's going to make a bid for either Harrison, Nonto. We know that we've loaned out, I think, nearly the maximum amount of loan players we possibly can.
Foreign loan players.
Players.
To English clubs, but not foreign clubs.
I think we're now going to get to a point where somebody's going to come in for a Tyler Adams, somebody's going to come in for a Nonto, somebody's going to come in for a Harrison, even a Somerville. For us to think that we're going to start next season with all 4 of those players is naive. I think we're probably going to lose 2 of them. If we lose 2 of them and keep the other 2, I think we'll have done pretty well. But we need to be maximising the amount we get for the transfers. And
we need to make some money somewhere, don't we?
That might be the start of certain things fitting into place. Obviously there's Melier in there as well, and it might be that we're just waiting now for bids to come in for players that we are prepared to let go or having to let go. And certainly we can now we've signed a new keeper, we could let Melier go. Wouldn't want to see Tyler Adams go. I'd be gutted if he went, but we could afford to lose a winger, possibly 2, and still have enough for the Championship. So that being the case, we might already have attacking options lined up in terms of who we could bid for. and central defensive options lined up. We might just be waiting for those cards to fall. Or, conversely, it could just be that we're very advanced with a couple of players and the 49ers are just not announcing anything yet. What do you think?
I think we're just doing it in silence, aren't we? I don't necessarily think we're going to sign loads of players. I think the key for this summer for them is retention, just to retain all the big names. And if that means sort of maybe missing out on a few transfers, then have at it. And I think they're going to wait till January and then they're going to assess it. Maybe we'll see a small striker come in, possibly a Timu Puki or something. Worked with Farker, played with Byram. Maybe we'll see a Kai Wagner come in a left back. But I don't think there's going to be any massively statement signings. I think it's all going to be about keeping your Adams, keeping your Sinisteras, keeping your Somervilles, Harrison even, like keeping all these players on board.
I think the other thing about it is as well, I mean, people are talking about how many players have had leave.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sounds that Cooper's going to be going to the Saudi League now.
Yeah, I think that's a done deal by now.
Yeah, obviously,
It wouldn't surprise me if he misses out on the squad today.
We've lost Robin Koch, he's gone. Who else we lost at the back? We've lost Rasmus, yeah. In midfield, Rocker's gone. Obviously Forshaw's gone. Rob Les has gone. So we have lost a lot of what we would class as first team players.
Yeah.
Aaronson's gone, although to be fair, I think a lot of people have been pleased to see him back.
I like Aronson. I like him. I think he's going to be a good player if he comes back.
If he bulks up a little bit. Kenny's gone.
I think with Aronson, he never recovered from not getting his pick at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because before that, he was like world class. Everyone was saying he's going to be like a force. Well, he wasn't world class, but he was class.
He wasn't even Leeds class, I don't think.
No, he was good. Before the World Cup, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
In that Spurs game, and he got the assist for Somerville, great pass, up until the World Cup, and then he just didn't get his pick at the World Cup, and he came back, and for some reason, he was just going over when you tapped him. He wasn't like that before.
I do think though, there is an importance in terms of depth of strengths. And I think that although many Leeds fans are saying we've not had players come in to replace what we've lost, I think when we look at the loan players and we look at who we've had back, we've got Drame who's come back to the club, we've got Hjelde who's come back to the club, we've got Cressy who's come back to the club. So those are, and we've still got that Portuguese player that we signed for centre half, who's in and around the club, who's rumoured to be somebody who could have a breakthrough season this season.
I think Radrizzani was trying to take him to Sampdoria as well.
Yeah, well, Radrizzani can do one as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. He wants to take everything, including the stadium.
I'm waiting for Firpo to come in. I'm waiting for an offer from Sevilla to come in for Firpo, because I think Victor Orta's going to use his connections there to get Firpo.
Firpino. I do think though as well, and when you look at midfield, you've got Archie Gray and Giavi, we've got Greenwood, we've got Joffy. We have got Bate. We've also got Shackleton, Ampadu. But I'm on about loan players that are returning. But if you look at those loan players that are returning now, some of these players are viable. And in case of players, people like Drame and Diaby, some of these players I think will be superstars in the Championship. Perhaps not quite ready to start in the Premier League, but players that you would loan out to a Championship club who would be starters. And Leeds have got an abundance of them now. So this whole idea of taking on youth players and developing them, and in some cases loaning them out the way that Chelsea do, we might see a little bit of a payoff. We might see some heroes emerge from that group.
Okay, so on the subject of players, this video is probably going to be out after the game, but we'll run through predicted lineups anyway, and then we'll run through the season predictions, top scorer, flop of the season, the usual, all of them, star player, top scorer, all of them. So what's the predicted lineup today, just really quickly?
I think he'll start Meslier in goal.
He said that he will.
I think he'll start, it's a toss-up between Drame and Ayling. Drame injured.
Byram's there as well, isn't he?
He'll start Ayling on the at right back.
Yeah.
I think he'll start Cresswell at centre half with
Stroik.
Yeah, you've got to say Stroik, and I think he'll start Hjelde at left back.
Okay. What's the formation we're going with?
It'll be 4-3-3.
4-3-3. Okay.
I think we'll start with Ampadu in the middle.
JB Gray.
Yeah, probably JB. It might be 4-2.
I think 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I think if he does start with Cine up front, he'll evidently, for me, he'll start with Paveda in the middle, just behind him. And then you've got to be looking at
So what's your midfield three? JB, Ampadu,
and Shackleton.
What about Paveda?
No, I'm thinking it's 4-2-3-1, like you say. I think you've got to be talking.
So your two holding ones are Shackleton and
Ampadu and Jarby.
right. So who are your two holding midfielders?
Ampadu and Jarby.
So what did you mean Shackleton?
No,
Why not about
Ampadu and Jarby.
Right.
I think then you've got the three that come next is going to be Nonto. You've got to be looking at Paveda, and then you've got to be looking at Somerville.
Okay.
And then Cine up front. But having said that, I may well start with James on the right because James has been playing pretty well as well. So that's a difficult one.
Okay.
It's more likely, probably, I would say, to start with James than Somerville in terms of how he's been playing, and the fact that Somerville might be off. I think James will.
Yeah,
the 49ers will want to keep on at James, won't they? Yeah,
Newcastle have just registered their interest in Somerville.
I think Newcastle are registering the interest in these players, aren't they? What do you think?
Okay, I think it's going to be Melier in net. I think it's going to be Ayling. It's going to be Creswell, Strike, and Byram. I think the two holding midfielders are going to be Archie Gray, start, throw him in at the deep end. He's more than capable, and Ampadu. So I think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1. I think your attacking midfielder is going to be Joffy. Two wingers are going to be Paveda and James, and then your striker is going to be Sinisterra. But it wouldn't surprise me if you put Sonny Perkins in there. But it's going to be interesting to see what does happen with the striker situation.
This season, who do you think is going to be a huge disappointment? Who do you think is going to be a breakthrough?
So flop of the season.
Who's going to be the flop of the season, player of the season, breakthrough player?
Okay, flop of the season. It's weird because we haven't really signed anyone. I'll say we just stick Bamford in there just for the funnies. Just say Bamford. Now cut our losses. Just because you can't get it wrong, can you?
No, Bamford's definitely going to be a disappointment. He always disappoints.
So Bamford's going to be the flop of the season. I think
player of the season.
Player of the season, I think it's going to be Sinisterra if he stays. You can't really give anyone else for that. He's shown the quality. If he stays fit for half of the season, he'll be top scorer in that league, I reckon. And most improved player is going to be Archie Gray.
I think flop of the season.
Breakthrough player is going to be Archie Gray.
Yeah. For me, flop of the season, I think he's going to be Bamford.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him go. Don't get me wrong, I like getting behind our guys, but even in the Championship before we came up, the amount of chances he needed to put the ball in the net. Cow's Arse Banjo should be his new name. Cow's Arse Banjo.
Yeah.
I think for me,
I got slated at the start of the season for saying that he needed to be shot. So he needed to be put down.
To be shot.
And he needed to be put down, and everyone was getting on a bit. So
well,
I know.
There we go. And I think we're a season down the line now. He's just not. He's not the right.
He's not the same as he was he?
You can't be a player like that is so fragile in the Championship. It's just not with 50 games. I think that the player of the season will be Tyler Adams.
I think he's going to stay.
If Tyler Adams doesn't stay, the player of the season will be Ampadu.
Fair play.
And I think that it will be one of those two that is the player of the season. I think Tyler Adams is literally constructed for this kind of league. And a breakthrough player of the season. So a player that we've not had, who's featured an awful lot recently, that's going to be the breakthrough player of the season. This is going to be controversial. Stuart Dallas.
Breakthrough player.
Yeah. But if we're talking about a young player coming through,
I want to hear the Dallas. What's the reasoning behind Dallas? What's the reasoning behind that?
Because I think he's going to. I think if he comes back and he comes back fit for the second half of the season, I think he's going to lift the team. We really do. So that's kind of our predictions. Where do you think Leeds are going to finish?
What's the top scorer? Who's top scorer?
Top scorer. I think the top scorer for Leeds next season isn't at the club yet.
Fair play. I think it'll be Sinisterra.
I think
who's going to be the top scorer out of the batch that we've got at the minute?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, it's going to be
Patrick Bamford.
I'd like to say Matteo Joseph, but I've seen him play the first team quite a lot, and he's not.
I think it's quality.
It might well be. It might take him a few games to get into his stride.
You know, we looked at Nonto some players don't do as good in the under-21s. So Nonto played in the under-21s at the start of the season. We went to a couple of the games, the Southampton one and the Crystal Palace one, and you know, Nonto didn't look special. Like, he didn't really, for the under-21s, he didn't really do anything. It was a bit crap. It wasn't crap, but you know what I mean. He didn't get assists or goals or contributions. But then as soon as he was in the first team, it was quality.
Let me just okay. Nonto, if he stays, will get 5+ goals.
Yeah. He's more. Nonto's more assists.
Ian Pervada will get more than 5 goals this season.
Yeah.
Somerville, if he stays, will get more than 5 goals this season.
Okay.
Harrison, if he stays, will get knocking on for 10 goals this season.
Sinistera,
if he stays, will get more than 5 goals this season.
I think Sinistera will get more than 10.
I think
if he stays fit.
I think Harrison will get knocking on for 10. He'll get 9, 10 or 11 goals this season if he stays.
Okay.
And I think you'll find that Harrison was doing it.
We can't have that Harrison that's crap all season, or has a couple of good games and then just completely goes missing. See, this is Harrison's structure, right? He's either on fire all season, like Bielsa's first season. He's either present in the first couple of games, like has a good first couple of games, and then throughout sort of September, October, November, December, January, completely goes missing for 5 months and then comes back February until the end of the season, or he's just not there. You know, so we can't have this Harrison that's crap for the whole season until the last couple of games, and then all of a sudden, once we're in trouble, he comes out to play. We need the Harrison that sort of just plays, is unplayable every game.
Where do you think Leeds are going to finish?
I think we're going to finish 6th. One Leeds said that. I think it's going to be from 4th to 6th. I don't think we're going to win the league. I don't think we're going to get automatics. Southampton and Leicester have done too much, and I think that the quality in that league is disgusting this season. You've got Coventry, you've got Ipswich, who I think are going to get promoted, Southampton, Norwich, Leicester, Sunderland. You've got like so many teams that are going to be challenging this season, Watford even. So I think that it's going to be tough to get promoted. I think we're going to finish 6th and we're going to lose in the playoff final to Leicester.
I think if Leeds lose a winger, keep hold of everybody else and bring in a striker and a left back, we'll win that league. I think if Leeds do no further transfers now and lose 2 wingers, we'll finish 6th.
Players we've got to.
I think it's very difficult until the end of the transfer
outside
window.
of our team's too good for us. In terms of that league, we're not even like in the top 3 quality teams.
Yeah, I think if we lose players and don't replace them, and we lose players and don't at least add in other areas, I think we're going to struggle.
Transfer news really quickly. Taylor Harwood-Bellis is being linked to loads. Centre back, got promoted with Burnley last season, in Manchester City Academy product. It would surprise me a lot if he came to Leeds. I think he's more likely to go to Leicester purely on the basis of Enzo Maresca is now Leicester's manager and he's got the connections with the City Academy. So I think he's more likely to end up there, or even a Southampton, because we know Romeo Lavia. Who's that winger they had? They've got Lavia. They've got that left winger who played for Man City. They love a Manchester City Academy player to Southampton. So I think he's more likely to go to one of those 2 relegated teams. But you know, it'd be interesting to see him at Leeds. I think he would be a good Verba replacement. Nat Phillips as well being linked, and Glenn Kamara's still there. So that's the transfer news. Not really much coming out of the club.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously we're into August now. There's another 3 or 4 weeks. A lot is riding on whether we get late bids for some of these players. It might well be that we need to perhaps lose a winger for 18, 20 million to be able to bring a couple of signings in. It may just be that things are ticking on in the background and we're ready to pull the trigger. How many times the signings come out of nowhere and there's just agents talking this up and agents talking that up?
Well, Anthony came out of nowhere, got linked with him in the morning, and then by the night we'd signed him.
So let's just see what happens. But again, it's interesting times for Leeds United fans. I'd be very surprised if we don't have a couple more players come in. I'd also be very surprised if we don't have a couple of more exits. But let's see what the team looks like in September, and we'll have a better idea as to where we're going to finish.
Dad's predictions 2-0 Leeds. My
2-0 Leeds.
2-1 Cardiff. Probably be out after the game. We've got the season predictions and everything.
I think I think brace for Poveda today. 2 goals for Poveda. Yeah. I'm really liking him.
So I know my predicted goal scorers.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be. I don't really know much about. I mean, Premier League. I know all the players, all the names, all the squad numbers. Even I know every age of the Premier League players. But I think that I don't know the Championship as much. I know sort of basically who the best players are, who the worst ones are. But I would probably say I think it's going to be 2-1 Leeds. I think it's going to be
2-1 Leeds. You said 2-1.
No, 2-1 Cardiff.
Wow.
I think Sinisterra's going to score for us, and then I think it's going to be. I don't even know Cardiff's players. I'm not going to embarrass myself, but throughout the season I'll learn the players, and then I might start, like I did with the Premier League predictions. But yeah, that's what I think. Sinisterra score for us, and then they're going to get a last-minute winner.
It'd be interesting if Cressy scores, bearing in mind how he went off against Millwall. They're playing for Millwall in Millwall's defence last season.
Yeah,
Cressy ends up getting 3 or 4 goals early doors as well. That'd be nice.
Cresswell, yeah, it'd be good to get Cresswell scoring from corners.
Apart from that, it's been great to be back. I think we'll start doing a few more videos again.
Yeah.
Thanks for the support. If you've not already done so, or you're unsubscribed when we stopped posting a while back, feel free to hit that subscribe button again. Like the video by all means and share. And we will be back